Well, hi and welcome everyone. My name is Ramon Lewis and I'm from Melbourne, Australia.
Hi, and I am Yugen Cosmic and I am hailing from New York City.
Yes, you are. Well, it's nice to finally be back in this space with you, and good to get this podcast off the ground.
Yeah, I know it's been a while, isn't it? We've been kind of a bit distracted by the world and our other...
Absolutely. Yes. I think there's a lot of people distracted of what's going on in the world right now, so we thought we'd bring it back home to centre. Yeah, so I've been trying to work out how we started conversation, because I met you on a flight, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
And I'm trying to work out what it was about initially. Was it what I was watching? Was it the food I was eating?
Well,
or perhaps it was something I was reading?
So I remember specifically that I asked you what you were watching just to, start a conversation. But we did subsequently jump into what you were reading at the time.
That's right. That's right. Einstein's Dreams.
Yes.
And I think we started getting all philosophical and realised we had a lot to talk about.
Which is why we're still talking today.
Yeah.
It still continues.
Absolutely. Let's get into it. It's as I said, it's been a while and it's crazy out there. So we thought we just wanted to remind ourselves, and to anyone that's listening, of course, that we have the tools we need to cope with virtually any situation, and it lies within us. So how do we actually do that? Well, we're going to have a little look into values. So that's what the podcast is about today. And we'll be doing a series on values in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited about it because I haven't thought about these things as deeply as you have, and it's interesting to really come back and look at yourself and think about these things in the context of your life. So I've had to do a little bit of research, and just so I can be in a position to really talk more honestly about values. And
yeah,
suddenly
absolutely.
a learning experience along the way as well. So
it's great. Yeah, we teach what we want to learn ourselves. And for me, I've always been interested in self-inquiry and personal development. So coming from meditation and yoga background, I'm sort of constantly curious about how to, just be a better version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, every moment of every day, whether we realize it or not, we're making a decision on how we spend our time and, what we pay attention to or where we direct our energy. So I think values are really important to have a little think about as to, the way we move through life, and to adjust if things aren't working out for us.
Yeah.
Because our actions reflect our values, because our actions don't lie, right?
That's true. We lie, but our actions don't.
Well, I'm pretty sure that one of your highest values is honesty, so no lies there, Yugen. Not allowed.
There is such a thing called, lies by omission, and I specialize in that.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to let that one slide. But, in terms of my highest value, it's connection. And I think that's why we got talking on the plane that day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I definitely stayed true to mine.
Well, just, coming back to it, one of my highest values is honesty, because, I consider myself a loyalist. I am loyal to the people that I care about, and what's important for me to have that connection is to have honesty between me and the individuals in my life.
Yeah.
And when I find that, someone's betrayed that, it puts me in a very weird space because I feel a bit uncertain and disheveled. And it's hard for me to kind of move forward with that particular individual in my life because I feel at a loss.
Yeah. And it's good to just reflect on that and how that makes you feel. And then I guess make a decision as to, is that working out for you or not?
Mm-hmm. and does it like adhere to that particular value?
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Which is why they're so great, so important, and so good to just come back to center in that regard. You know, what's important to you might not be so important to someone else, but really it's about you at the end of the day. So I think that's why we need to work them out and reaffirm our values. And look, I guess also know that values change as we move through our lives. You know, the idea is just to keep on revisiting them as we grow.
So, okay, so I'm gonna kind of jump around because this is something that I've had to think about because, so we were talking about, okay, so we talked about values initially, and then we started doing the recording, but I wanted to inquire about values in relations to goals, right?
Yeah.
So, particularly like, you know, do you constantly set goals when it comes to, you know, making sure that your life choices are consistent with your values? Because
Absolutely.
we move through, like, things are constantly shifting in our lives, so it's like, you know, do we set like new tiers or new markers, I would say, well, goals anyways.
Yeah, definitely do. They are fundamentally different though, and that's why we're going to sort of move into discussing why that is so. But when you set goals, it's like you're accomplishing tasks, and you've got milestones that you want to achieve. Okay, so you're accomplishing something on your to-do list. But with values, when you do something you believe in, that's something that's inherent in you that is important to you, and it's your North Star. So it's your compass in life.
I like analogies.
So do I. I've got a good one too coming up. Would you like to hear
really?
it?
Come on, let's go. I'm ready.
Alrighty, here we go. So goals. Again, what I said before is that they're fundamentally different, right? But they can be confused. So goals can be confused with what we value. So, all right, I'm gonna move through this beautiful metaphor. So you just close your eyes. Let's get into it.
Ooh,
Let's embody the experience. Deep breath in and out. Settling into center. All right, let's get on a boat. Let's get on a boat, Eugen.
Okay.
Let's go sailing. All right, so the sun's up.
Sailing takes me away.
Sail away, sail away.
All right. Okay.
All right,
So
okay, back to it. All
right.
All right, so the sun's up. Sails are up, and we are.
Am I wearing a
essentially-
yachting cap?
Hey, if you want to be my guest.
Thanks.
Yeah, just nothing else.
Okay.
Okay, back to values. So
right.
we're sailing through the ocean of life. You've got your yachting cap on, and anything else that you wish to or not to wear. And in front of you, Yugen Cosmic are islands. So they're sitting on the horizon, and you're working really hard to get to them. So they represent your goals and your milestones. And perhaps one of the islands is starting your own business, or another island might be, you know, aiming to have kids in the near future, or buying a home. Any number of goals you may have. And behind us, we already have had many islands that we've conquered, but we also have plenty on the horizon, driving us to work even harder. So every time, so we're sailing towards that island, and we plant that flag on the island, so you feel a sense of accomplishment that you've achieved your goal. How are you feeling about that at that moment? Does it feel good?
Yeah. Feel
Okay.
satisfied.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How long do you think that satisfaction might stick around?
Okay, so here's the tricky thing, because, you know, as you're saying that, like, I'm realizing like a problem here for me. I think you're about to like I think you're about to make a point here, but okay, so and I think about my life, like, up until this point.
Metaphor just slammed.
So, you know, I came from Jamaica, West Indies. I grew up poor. I was born in a poor country. I came here and I grew up poor. It was just me and my mother. I mean, food stamps, all this stuff, electricity going out, you know. So one of like my goals was to not be broke. And you know, I worked towards that. It took a while, and I mean, I've even had some lows where I barely made anything, but I got myself to a point where, you know, my life is good. You know, bills are paid, money in the bank, da da da. But, you know, every time that I got a new job or I got a new increase in pay, I realized it was more fleeting. Like, it's like, okay, I felt satisfied, but it didn't really solve like any of my core problems, you know, like my life, the quality of life was better, but I didn't feel that much better.
Yes.
So it was almost like just hitting these goals, like, you know, it was like a temporary high, but it was like fleeting, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Temporary. And look, it's good to set goals. I think it's really important if you want to, you know, evolve and grow and move into the best version of yourself, so to speak. But I think that's why when something like that we achieve, it's good to come back to our values because it's more sustaining. So then, you know, getting clear on our highest values, not just our goals, because, you know, you've conquered your island. It feels good for a little while, but there's always another on the horizon to accomplish. Yeah, so if I get here, maybe you felt like if I get here, I'll feel like that. And if I achieve this, maybe I'll be happy then.
That's true.
And it kind of eludes us that happiness. So to how we sustain that feeling, I feel that we aim just to live in alignment with our values, because even if we don't achieve that goal, it's okay. Our value still holds meaning, and we know that something better is coming. And something always better comes your way, right, Eugen?
That's always true. I mean, it was sitting right next to me on an airplane.
Well, let's hope it's everlasting.
Yeah.
I got something. Oh, you know, you go for it.
So here's my question, right? And, you know, for people, and I'm still, you know, because we've asked this question, I'm really thinking about what my core values are. How do people figure out what their core values are? Because some people go through their whole life not really paying attention to it.
Yeah.
They just kind of move with the flow. But it's like when you ask that question, it's like, you know, what do you really believe in? You know, how do people discover what their core values are?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, there's lots of different ways that you can do it. I do have a little activity around that that we can go into if you want to.
Hey, I'm game. I like playing games.
That's what I. So, yeah, okay. So values, they're the essence of who you are. So they're principles that hold to be of worth in your life. So how do we know what they are? Sometimes they're inherent and we're just acting them out subconsciously. But to really sort of hone into that, I've got a little card game. So step 1, let's go there.
Okay.
This is called, I've done a little research on this, and I've also done it myself to work out what my core values are. And it's called a values card sort. So basically it's a set of 100 cards, and you can Google them. And each of them have a value on the card, such as, you know, simplicity, pleasure, integrity, freedom, whatever. And you can also add your own if there's something on there that just doesn't sort of fit the bill. You shuffle the cards, go through the deck, and then lay them out in columns. So you've got the first column might be it's not important, second somewhat, third very, and then the fourth most important. So the thing you can do is just be really honest and just take your time, and that's the first step. Also, the step 2, so we've got that suite, is to decipher whether these are values to you, not goals or obligations. And to work that out, it's pretty easy. So what you need to do is, values are usually one word. They're quite abstract, so you can just do a quick check. And they can't be reached as a milestone. So values come from within. So you need to take your time with this. Make sure that they're not, as I said, an obligation or a goal. Your goal might be to have 3 kids, okay? But your value... I'm not talking about you. I swear.
Right.
But a value might be love,
Mm-hmm.
connection, whatever. So it's usually one word, that sort of thing. Step 3, let's go there.
Oh, wait. I know this one. Okay. Let me do this one. Okay, right?
Go for it.
So you have to like rate each one in like the order of importance, right? Like on the scale of like 1 to 10, like with 10 being the most important and then 1 being I don't give a crap. Right? Like that?
Well, not so cool, like, yeah, least important,
Least.
but yeah.
Okay,
I
that's
give
sort
a
of
crap,
way
but
to
not
say I
as
don't-
much as I give a crap
about the
in
other
regards
stuff.
to, yeah.
Yeah. You know, and in this step you really want to like take a moment to really like, you know, be honest about it. You know, and take your time. Take a day, take 2 days, you know, then come back to it. You know, don't focus on the rating and, you know, feel into how aligned you are with each value on the scale. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, for example, your value is curiosity, but you haven't read or researched anything new for a while. You've got to rate yourself modestly in that regard. But if you've got your hands on everything you need to know about personal development, for example, rate yourself highly. Okay, so you're going to rate the importance here. So that's what we call the moment of truth. And the beginning of growth is when you can compare importance with alignment.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you another example of that because it's a bit hard to kind of grapple with.
It
So,
is
for
a little
example,
tricky.
it's a bit tricky. So you're doing 2 things. You're rating in order of importance, and you're on rating, you're in alignment with it. So, for example, you may value friendship as a number 10, most important to you. But you've been really busy with work and you haven't put in the effort. So this is obviously a value you need to work on, and that might find a discrepancy. I mean, you found a discrepancy there with another value. For example, if you value study, but you placed it as somewhat important, but you've been studying at a level 10, then maybe it's okay to decrease the amount of time you spend here so you can have more time for your friends. And there you find your balance, your equilibrium.
I can see
It's
that.
actually quite liberating, right? So you might think that this is important to you, but the energy that you're putting into it is not aligned, okay, with your thought of that level of importance that you put placing that value at. So that's kind of how you do it. And yeah, it's a beautiful exercise. And you start to let go of some things that aren't as important as maybe you thought that they were.
Yeah.
And then when you move into step 4, you can actually take or create rather those goals and put them under your values.
Value-driven goals.
Yeah.
Okay. You know,
That's
it's funny because I was going to say I have a hard time kind of putting things in on a 1 to 10 scale because I'm really tricky about stuff like that. But considering, you know, I guess the structure and the effort in organizing this, it actually makes it a bit easier for me. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna give this a go.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's definitely well worth it because you'll come out of it with a really clear idea of how much time you spend on each value and where there are any discrepancies that you need to change to get more in alignment with what's important to you, essentially.
Yeah. All right.
The good thing though about
No, go on.
Yeah, the good thing about values though is that they're evergreen, so they're quite flexible. You know, we mentioned earlier that they change as we grow and as we become more aware. So it's okay just to revisit them at any time. And sometimes when there's major things that happen to us in our lives, it makes us reflect on our life, who we are, and what's important to us. So it's good to take the time when those things that happen in our experience to change the trajectory of our life.
That is so true. And you know what? Like, you know, there's a lot of things constantly happening around us, and there's a lot of decisions being made for us that do not necessarily resonate with the things that we value at our core. So we need, and we often forget ourselves in these moments and just go along with the current, and like it just pulls us away from who we really are. So it's important that, you know, we need to make the best decisions for ourselves, and in order to do that, we need to fully understand what our values are and stay true to those. You know, just find your North Star, and you know, you'll always find a way back to yourself.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that analogy of values being your North Star.
Well, you're the one that started it, so.
I did. Yeah. I'm always up in the stars. It's a good thing.
Well, I'm glad you came down to the earth for us.
Only for a visit.
Just for a visit.
Absolutely. And I've got this quote a friend of mine had written in regards to values, and it's: the values are the compass, the torch of life. They guide you towards meaningful action, illuminate your path, and bring you back when you wander off track.
Oh, wow. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, she good.
She mad good.
She's written a whole book on it. We should get into that.
Oh, that's what's up. I'm curious.
Little plug for you, Deborah Adelin.
Thank you, Deborah.
Yeah. Thanks, Deb. Yeah, look, there's just so many conflicts and challenges, disappointments, losses that we experience. So it's okay to acknowledge them, isn't it? But they shouldn't get in the way of what we truly value. So we just got to come back to center and remind ourselves that as we stay grounded in our values, then we can weather any storm.
Beautiful.
You know, Yugen, I had this idea the other day, like how we come up with our values. Or the value that is the most important to us. And
it doesn't require like extensive meditation and some weird stuff, right?
It actually does. No.
Oh gosh.
Look, it just takes 10 minutes of deep breathing and closing your eyes and coming back to center.
Okay, that's easy.
You can deal with that.
Yeah, I can. I think so. I can make that.
That's just a little slither out of your day, no problem.
Mm-hmm. So what is it? Let's hear it.
Yeah, all right. So I had this idea, as I said, you know, in my 10-minute meditation, but also what came to me in that moment was the discussions I'd had with friends about how they came up with their values. And I've known many people whose values have come about due to something missing when they were young. So this is interesting. And I've had a look at my highest value being connection. Now, I've got a little story. When I was born, and no analogies needed, I was literally disconnected to the world around me because I was several weeks premature, being a twin.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. So, because we were so little, I was put in an incubator, separated from my mum for weeks.
Oh, wow.
So really my first interaction with the world was in this tiny little plastic bubble. And it's interesting when I reflect upon that because I've sought out subconsciously meaningful connections.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, I'm adverse to superficiality in people and egos that demonstrate a facade to what someone is really feeling.
What?
I know. So like I felt a little bit misunderstood sometimes growing up, and therefore this sense of disconnect is experienced. Mm-hmm. And therefore connection then is my highest value. That's what
Interesting.
That's there. And it's prominent. It's the highest of highs.
Almost made a bad joke about this being some kind of Sigmund Freud thing, but I'm mixing them up. I think it's Carl Jung.
Carl Jung, yeah.
Yeah, Jung. So
I'm sure he'd have a lot to say about this.
I'm sure. But that's interesting. I haven't thought about that.
What do you think about it? From your experience, what do you think?
You know, so as I'm thinking about it, my parents were not very affectionate. You know, I mean, they were in their own twisted way. I mean, twisted is not bad. Just they were just not affectionate people. So one thing that I've craved in relationships is affection, because it's not something I grew up with. Yeah, I could have taken the other tactic and just be cold, but I just really I do crave affection. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
doesn't
innately...
make me a punk. But
No, definitely not. Very genuine, very genuine, of course. Yeah, directing that energy in a positive way.
that's interesting. So I do seek that out in like my partners, someone who's affectionate and such, because I'm that person. 'Cause I guess I didn't get it as a child. Oh my God, I need to talk to my parents. This is terrible.
No, it's all the past is over. Here we are. Hey, at least we learnt. We learnt from every experience.
That's
or
so true.
From the experience that we didn't get.
Yeah. What is missing? Yeah.
Everything's a lesson.
What was it? Necessity is the mother of invention or creativity, I guess, in this case. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it.
That's what's up.
There you go. We could totally go down that road a little bit more, but, I think...
Well, we're going to save that for the next recording.
Yeah, I think we will.
All right. Beautiful. Well, guys, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for listening to all of this, and hopefully it's been something that's been an eye-opening experience for you, and we'll definitely see you on the next one. Pony?
Yeah, we can't wait. Yeah, we look forward to you journeying with us next time.
All right, let's dive down the rabbit hole. Take care.